song that he wrote for me?
Yeah, ick.
Well, it had a name. La femme avec les yeux lumineux. The woman with eyes that sparkle?
What's French for ick?
Eek.
Ick. Have you ever been in a relationship and everything is fine and dandy until all of a sudden you get the ick? You're turned off by something so small or trivial?
Yeah, so is this a relationship red flag or can you just kind of move past it? To discuss, we're joined by relationship expert Melissa Ferrari. Nice to see you, Melissa.
Morning.
How would you describe the ick?
It's when you get that feeling in the early days of dating that you kind of think, I don't know if I can live with this. Sometimes it can evoke a feeling of disgust and you can just feel like I can't get past this and I may not even see this person again.
So is it okay to just give up if you've got that ick factor early, or can you get past it?
I think you have to know yourself. It kind of depends on if you're someone that you know, and many of us do this with dating in the beginning. We're looking for perfection. You know, we want that perfect person that matches us. We sometimes even project into who this person might be. I think you need to be able to check in with those kind of things, you know. Sometimes if people go against your core values, like it really feels like they're outright rude, it's something that you can't live with, well, then it's time to move on. But if it's just because you don't like the way they brush their teeth or because they say a word a bit funny, you probably need to think about that.
Well, let's drill down on that because an ick can be something really simple. You know, the way someone eats can really be, or can be something superficial, or as you say, brushing your teeth or whatever, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so we're human. We're all doing those little things that, you know, are just human everyday needs.
Part of us.
Exactly. And so we really need to, if we're going to be in relationship, able to accept those things. But for some, they just can't move on for it, and that becomes the ick factor.
Well, what about long-term relationships? Is it possible, or have you encountered people who have developed an ick, you know, 10 or 15 years into a relationship that wasn't previously there?
Yeah, well, that can happen. Like all of a sudden your partner can start to do something strange, and it can be for very different reasons. Sometimes it can be a mental health issue, it can be all kinds of things. But what I generally find, and I've worked with a lot of couples, is they kind of get over it. Once you've been with someone 5, 10, 15 years, that love bond has been established and therefore you're able to overcome it. The problem with the beginning is that you don't have that love bond, and so it's really hard for people to get over it.
An annoying little habit will just tip you over the edge.
Absolutely.
So, well, you've sort of alluded to it, but a relationship can survive the ick, you know? And what's the best piece of advice if there's something that's really turning you off?
Well, I think you need to be able to check inside yourself. You need to be able to say, you know, is this something that I'm just expecting too much? Is my expectation too high? You know, remembering that we are human and we make mistakes. And so I think self-reflection's really important, to be able to check in with yourself and say, you know, maybe I'm overdoing this a little bit. And if you don't have the capacity to do that, you know, you could end up alone for a very long time.
And do you talk about the ick with the other person?
Well, if you've established enough with them and you think there's enough trust there to be able to, I think we can get a sense when it's just like, this is not a good idea. I don't think that we should
Step away from the ick.
Step away from the ick. And maybe it will totally offend the person. But, you know, if you're going to lose someone that you really, really like and you've invested a little bit in, I think it's a good idea to bring it up or choose to ignore it.
You've always got to know when to pick your battles, right?
You do.
You've got to pick your icks as well. Thank you, Melissa. Good advice as always.